And just like that, we do have a quorum. Somebody said we got a quorum. Normally, if I have 50 people in the room, I'll do this. I see we got 51. I was just having a little chat. I did break my metal detector out today for the first time this year. The ground is cold and largely frozen here, but I drove by and saw a lot, a whole city block that was scraped in a town near me a couple days ago. And I went out there this morning with my detector and walked around for a bit. And I did find, I think, 12 or 13 coins. The only thing that was remarkable is I found a wheat penny from 1946. All the rest were modern stuff. But I was hoping that it was a construction scrape in an old town, that there might be something older there. But unfortunately, there's a lot of junk down and scrape the lots. There's always a lot of junk. So I encountered a lot of targets that were not worth digging. But I did bring a camera and I shot some footage of it. I think I might be able to cobble that together into a video that people might enjoy watching. So there's that. In the room, though, of course, right now, we've got a lot of old faces and old friends. Kimberly Kester, Daniel Kester, Dan Boyd, Taylor Bailey, Mike Lackner, Mike Torello, Southern Torin, Dan Boyd, Merplex, 80 to freezing and back to 70. Bipolar Nashville. To Paul. Oh, boy. And then I also did spend some time in West Virginia Thursday and Friday. I went down and spoke to a bar association in Charleston. And on the way back, I stopped in Point Pleasant and visited the Mothman Museum, because of course I did. So Belia says he's in slow mode. Help. You're just listening too slowly. That's all. RROT Wang, Steve Areno. Yamaha drummers in the house. We had that whole discussion last week about what kind of instruments Yamaha makes. Pretty much all of them. Belio Viper, can you show us the quirks and features of your Viper and then give it a Doug score? Is that a reference to Doug DeMuro? I don't watch his stuff that much. I know that he once did a video on Vipers, but I've done a bunch of videos on my Viper. But I really don't think I'm adding much to the discussion by pointing out things that people have known about now for about, 27 years since my Viper was built. I am McNathan. Hello from Sun City, Center, Florida. I remember before I got my Viper, I watched a video by a guy who goes, everything I hate about my Viper. And it was all stuff that you should know before you buy one. That's like saying, gee, I don't know, it had a clutch. They've all got clutches. Lewis Browning metal detector in Jersey or Massachusetts may let you find some really old items. Yeah, that's the problem with Michigan, is that we became a state in 1837. There was not much outside of Detroit prior to that. So if you find coins in the 1800s, it's a big deal. So David Gadici, I'm hoping I'm close on that name. Madison, Alabama here. Duck Dodgers, good morning. Analog designer Jay, hello from San Clemente, California. David Hastings, hello from Paducah, Kentucky. Sor Meekin, what age do you think you'll retire from practicing law? I don't actually plan on retiring. And I know many attorneys who didn't. They just kept going, just cut back on their caseload. In fact, the man who handled my brother's estate for me is an attorney who's kind of retired. And that's what he does now, is he handles estates for people. Mr. Memore checking from Jackson, Michigan. Dan Boyd, my great uncle, was on their Supreme Court. Which Supreme Court? West Virginia? Doug Sparks, West Virginia is where the heart is. That was one of their sayings? Kayla McComber, have you ever been to Beaver Island out in Lake Michigan? No, I've heard all about it. I've read about it. I've not been there. I've been to Mackinac Island, but not Beaver Island. I've been to Grand Island in Lake Superior, too. That's pretty cool. Paul Thomas Harris, a shame you have to do slow mode. Yeah, but think about how often you actually think you got to be hammering out questions faster than every 45 seconds. It doesn't really slow anybody down, I don't think. So, Dougie Doo says that their 50-year-old septic field is plugged. Ooh, when was the last time somebody actually went out and did some maintenance on that and looked into it? STP World, did you see the lady who took her car to Mercedes and the guy Joy rode it? Yeah, I took it to the bar. It's hard to say that that's a test drive. I haven't done a video yet. I might. S. Gutog, have you ever done some heavy lifting? The pain was delayed 2 days. No, mine usually hits the same day. In fact, believe it or not, when I got back from metal detecting, I was walking around the house and my hip hurt because you're sweeping a coil like this, and then when you find a target, you kneel and you try to dig it out, and then you stand back up again. And literally kneeling, stand up, doing that, I don't know, probably 30 times in the course of an hour actually made my hip a little sore. It's fine now, but I noticed it. Belio says Doug DeMuro just did a video on a 2013 Dodge SRT Viper. It's now for sale on his Cars and Bids site. It's at $85,000. 4 days left. Maybe yours needs a brother. What color is it? Yeah, I'm not interested in getting another Viper. If I got another car, it would be something different. But I got 2 extra cars as it is. So, I can only drive so many at a time. James Nordbeck asks about Afro Man, and I'm getting really tired of answering questions about that only because no matter what I say, people jump on it and accuse me of hating the man. I love Afro Man. I've even said so repeatedly in the 2 videos I've done. The question is, did the plaintiff's attorneys take the case on a contingency fee? We don't know for certain, but many people I know I've spoken to said that they believe that's the case, meaning that the guy probably didn't get paid. His clients may have paid the out-of-pocket costs, but obviously they hit for like $2 million and he got a third of that. That's a chunk of money, but they didn't. They got zeroed out. So for that, you get nothing. MH0862, I've been to Grand Island in Nebraska. Yeah, Grand Island, I think, is a fairly common name for an island. Arts 4014 says, if you give and do the Coyote versus Acme movie at the Acme Theater in Lambertville, bring your metal detector. Shoybird, what sort of lawyer is good for drafting or checking over documents? I looked up NDA and it just sends me to divorce lawyers. I don't know if any lawyers who specialize in non-disclosure agreements, but any lawyer would be able to answer the question. It's just getting them to sit down and do it, because contracts is something you take your first year of law school and just simply look at it. But the problem is those things are so dense. You might ideally want someone to look at it who's seen them before, but I never dealt with that before. Don't know. Agent Ned, you read about the meteor above Hope, Michigan from 5 days ago. It's 4 inches in diameter and weighed a pound. There have been a bunch of meteors lately. One hit Ohio, too. Lewis Browning says Daniel Boone, noted scout and Indian fighter, operated a trading post here in 1790. He was a scout for General Lewis en route to Point Pleasant. Oh, okay. I wonder if they encountered the Mothman. Belio says the 2013 Dodge SRT Viper is red. I can post a link. No, that's okay. I know what a red Viper looks like. Ginger Cat, I did not see the video, but I saw a million references to it. But a woman was driving during a virtual hearing. And of course, I did a video about that other guy who got caught driving during a virtual hearing. And his hearing was about not having a driver's license, which made it even worse and ironic on some level. Kayla McComber says, you need to go and see the house my mother planned and had built with windmills on top of the roof. We'll be there in the middle of May this year. The house was trusted to me. Okay, where is it? Point Pleasant? Grand Island? Beaver Island? Oh, Chuck Whitehead's got a sciatic nerve issue. Digging things is not his bag. And that, of course, would be what hurts your back. Lewis Browning Steve wants his newer car to be a 1969 Charger 500. Well, I like those cars. I'd rather have the Charger with the big old wing and the nose cone on it, which, by the way, was based on a Charger 500 body. We often say it's a 69 Charger body, but in reality, the 69 Charger standard car had the sail panels in the back, whereas the Charger 500 had the fastback. So there you go. Belia says, what about the metal detector I bought from Harbor Freight for $19.95? While I was detecting this morning, a very nice guy stopped his truck and walked over to me. He says, hey, can I ask you some questions? I'm like, sure. I love talking to people. And he goes, tell me about that. And so I explained how the metal detector works. Like, oh my, and he's like writing down what make and model I've got. And I was showing it, how, it tells you what it thinks the coin is and how deep it is. Oh boy. He said he's going to get one, so we'll see how it goes. Brett, checking in from West Bloomfield. How you doing, my friend? Kayla McComber, 6 windmills and solar panels, stairs down to the beach. It's a beautiful house, but it is in the middle of Lake Michigan. Are we talking about a house out on Beaver Island? That'd be cool. How do you get out there? I mean, it's got to be a trek, right? I mean, I know isn't there a ferry, I think? Viper Mike says there is a Viper gathering in Gatlinburg, Tennessee at the end of May. Yeah, no, driving weather is here. Driving weather is here. I've had both my cars out this year. The Cobra is trickier because the wind chill becomes an issue. Lock Watcher, my newest car is my 2015 VW diesel Jetta manual transmission. My oldest car is a 98 Jeep Wrangler. Ginger Cat says you should watch the video if you get a chance. The woman denied that she was driving while looking in her rearview mirror and telling the judge she was just sitting on the left side of the car. Yeah, Kayla McComber confirms that is in fact Beaver Island. Beaver Island, by the way, is the island in Michigan, Lake Michigan. It's got the story of a man who declared himself to be king and that the island was his kingdom. And mysteriously, he got unalived by somebody. And they think that people just figured that was the easiest way to deal with it. Secret voice unlocked. Howdy, Steve. Carl's Corner. Hello, Steve. And blah, blah, blah. Steve, can I ask you a question? Bob, you can always ask me a question, or is that your actual question? Because it actually, there's no need to ask me if you can ask a question. That's why we're here. Perma 4 or 5 ACP. I'm guessing there's no message there, but I appreciate that. I see a heart on one side and a thumb up on the other. So there you go. Lewis Browning says, Steve, you need a Nocta Legend 2 metal detector. I've got a White's V3i Spectra, which does just fine. Secret Voice Unlocked Cobra, while those are gorgeous. I have a Cobra replica made by Backdraft. It's a company based in Florida. So people go, oh, you built a car. No. I got the car fully assembled. It came with a certificate of origin and all that stuff. Kurt, do any car companies comply with lemon laws, that litigation? Yes, many of them do. Many of them do. If you've got a good case and an attorney calls up the company and says, hey, look, we're going to sue you unless you buy this thing back. I'd say more than half of them right now do. So Chuck Whitehead, will metal detectors detect motor pieces? Did your engine scatter? It's a term of art. Mrs. Teresa's checking in. Hi, Steve. It's me. Hope you're doing well. Sorry I haven't been on for 2 months or more. I've been sick. Feeling better, though. Well, it's good you're feeling better. Sorry to hear you were sick. I was curious. I hadn't heard from you in a while. I was curious. I do think about people who don't show up. Let that be a lesson to you. Belia says his Acura has a manual, which is kept in the glove box. Secret Voice Unlocked. How about a question? How about a statement? Can I make a statement? Dan Boyd, if you own the island, you'd probably have better luck with declaring yourself king. I think he did this at one point in time. I think he owned a portion of it, but I think that it wasn't really heavily populated. He thought he could just get away with it. But I mean, if you look up the King of Beaver Island, you'll find all kinds of stories about this guy. Teddy Boragina, do you live near Lake Huron? I do, but in Canada. Sort of. I mean, I live down towards the Detroit area. So to get to Port Huron, I have to travel a little bit. But Brian Comer, have you ever been to Indy? No, I haven't. I've watched it. When I was a little kid, I loved the Indy 500. I remember listening to it on the radio when they would delay the TV broadcast. I mean, listening to the race on the radio as a child. But I don't follow it as much anymore, largely because so many of the racers are from other countries. It just doesn't seem as American as it used to be back when AJ Foyt or the Unsers would win like every single year. Secret voice unlocked. What do you think about Black's Law Dictionary? It's a dictionary, and you should know that Black's Law is kind of like Webster's. It's a name. Jason Jenkins has told there'd be refreshments. Yeah, there will be at this end of the camera, and this is close, right? This is the closest I can get to this shirt. I actually go on about an hour before I do these things to see what color shirt I wore last week. I don't want anybody to think that I don't ever change my shirts or something. Ask Gutog. I didn't know Steve took attendance. In my mind, I do. Mustang MG05 in Michigan would a video will made on one's phone made prior to a serious operation stand up in court? I don't believe so. I believe a handwritten will, which is called a holographic will, might if it fulfills all the requirements. But that's the kind of thing I would strongly urge you to talk to an attorney to. And I don't do that kind of law, so it's not like I'm looking for work here. But I know people will often try things, but many common law rules about wills say that they must be in writing unless they're formal. And I don't think a video would be considered in writing. Mexican Spec, good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Spontaneous disassembly, Steve. Yeah, no, that'd be called scattering. It scatters. Teddy Borgina, I used to watch India. I liked Alex Zanardi. That's a name from a blast in the past. Lost his legs in a crash, but kept on racing. KC Jimmy says the king of Beaver Island couldn't handle his first peasant revolt. He needed more vessels. Oh boy, Jerry Dodge is drinking at Verner's. Of course, Verner's is the official drink of Michigan, contrary to anything anybody tells you. Yeah, Brian Comer says you should attend it at least once in your life. I agree. I just haven't gotten down there for that. Secret voice unlocked. I'm at do lawyers use Black's Law Dictionary during practice? Almost never. I didn't own one for decades, and I don't remember ever consulting one. And then I had someone mail me one, and I've got one on my set right behind me. But no. I've seen them referenced in court very, very occasionally, but it's simply a dictionary. Brian Comer's got extra tickets to the Indy 500. Do they already sell them? I mean, they are already being sold. Yeah, S. Gutog says no one understands how loud those races are until they're in person. I got news for you. I've been to the hydroplane races in Detroit, the Gold Cup. You want to hear loud? Try an unlimited hydroplane. I've been in the pits when they fire those things up, and I've been right on the shore as they blew by me very fast. Arts 4014, the Goodwood Festival in the UK. You know, that's another one I'd love to get to. Have not gotten there yet. I keep meaning to go. And by that, I mean I would have to plan it out in advance to make sure I got the tickets and figured out exactly what package I want to go with. I'd like to see the hill climb or the driveway race, whatever they call it. So that should be fun. Christian 55572 says you are late. We have summertime in Europe from today. Summertime? Oh, you mean like as opposed to like daylight savings time or something? Because I was gonna say because summer doesn't start for a few months in this hemisphere. Aaron Freeman does not like timing belts. No, I agree. I don't like timing belts either. I like timing chains. Timing chains. Lion Zookeeper, Verner's is Michigan medicine. And by the way, I believe it was invented by a pharmacist. Yeah, Daniel Kester likes watching on TV rather than in person, and he also likes airplane races, which, by the way, is one of the craziest things to go see in real life, because occasionally an airplane like goes out of control, and when like a car on a track breaks down, they tend to stay on the track. Airplanes go all over the place. And there have been some tragedies at airplane races where an airplane got out of control. So everything is stage legal. Hi, Steve. Love the channel live stream. Haven't missed a live stream all year. Hope to keep up the trend indefinitely. This is our highlight of the week. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, John Zabelak, NHRA just does not go very far. Yeah, they've shortened it. And the weird thing is that despite shortening it, they're still faster. And the amazing thing about those cars is the technology is insane. I understand F1 technology, IndyCar technology, and NASCAR. What they get out of an engine in the NHRA for like 4 seconds is crazy. And yes, those things are very loud and they're a blast to watch. But imagine that, you green light, go. Okay, we're done. I mean, the race lasts 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Dan Boyd says timing belts have their place. It's just that the place is usually a good bit of work to get to. I just like the idea of a timing chain. Timing chains, over time might stretch, but I've had timing belts break. I've done entire videos about that. Echo Tracks says, if memory serves, the first Indy 500 not shown later on tape delay was in 86, but it was delayed by rain for a week. Yeah, I'm talking about this had to be in the late 60s, early 70s that I'm thinking of. Jelly's Kelly, does losing nearly every case as a lawyer necessarily make you a bad lawyer? Well, it depends. I mean, it would do wonders for your self-esteem, but like let's suppose that you did nothing but take on appeals for guys on death row, people on death row. And many of them are going to be on death row, but they still want to file an appeal. You might take those. You might win one, 1 out of 10 might win. And that might actually be a good record. You never know. Ask Good Talk, can you imagine how eerie a race would be with all electric vehicles practically silent except for the tires? Yeah, that would be kind of strange. Jen B, 711, Steve, you're a gent and a scholar. As an ESQ family member, I always tune in. What was fun is I went to West Virginia and spoke to the Bar Association, and there's like, I don't know, a bunch of people there. And I talked to a bunch of attorneys from West Virginia. And it's always fun meeting attorneys from other states. Daniel Kester says there's a plane race here in Sacramento. A plane crashed into an ice cream shop. Is that the one where the jet ran into ferals? Or was that a different one? There was a famous crash where a guy in a jet at an air show crashed the end of the runway and ran into a Farrell's ice cream place. Tim Nassam, my younger cousin, was a clutch man for a Top Fuel NHRA car. That's all he did was stack clutches and levers between rounds. Wow. But, they actually tear those engines down all the way, pistons out, crankshafts out, sometimes between every single race. And you think about rebuilding the engine in your own car, and you're talking weeks, if not months. Dan Boyd, what about a public defender? It depends. I've heard of some public defenders did quite well. There was a very famous story, and I forgot the guy's name, and I should know this guy's name, but I don't. But he's a public defender down, I think, in Atlanta, maybe Georgia, someplace down that way. And he is so committed to winning his cases that he takes them all to trial. And if he loses, he tattoos the name of the client on his back. And when I saw him interviewed for a story, he'd had 8 or 9 losses his entire career. And he's like, yeah, and they're all on my back, so I'll never forget them. Mike Lackner is shopping, I'm guessing, with the wife. We've moved from ladies' foundations to the jewelry store. The plot thickens, and yes, so does your bill. The jewelry store. Buy me something nice. Doug Jones says some of the timing chains look about 8 feet long. And if you get a couple of thousands stretch in each link, that would add to a problem. Yeah, and I've also seen, I watched Sam Crack when he rebuilds cars, and he'll have some bizarre car from like quite often in Europe. It's got like 4 timing chains, all kinds of guides and things. What a nightmare. But just think about the good old days when you pop the timing cover off and there's a chain right there, and that's it, you know? Daniel Kester, yes, that was the Ferals. Okay, that's the one I'm thinking of. Slarta Bart Fast, which is, of course, the name from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. When I was little, my dad used to take me to the swamp buggy races. Those are pretty cool. I've watched those on YouTube, and it's hilarious because you're not sure if you're rooting for the car or the swamp. Andy New York says, rest in peace, James Tolkan, who was in Top Gun and Back to the Future. He's the bald guy who played the principal in Back to the Future and referred to the kids as slackers. And of course, he was a mean guy also in Top Gun. But I did not know he was born in Calumet, Michigan. His family moved to California when he was fairly young, but he was born in Calumet, Michigan, of all places. So that's pretty cool. Arts 4014, how'd you like West Virginia? I literally just came down. I cut through Ohio and then went down pretty much along the border. And I was following rivers and stuff quite a bit of the way. And I went through Point Pleasant and I went then to Charleston. And that's all I really saw was those 2 towns. But that scenery is beautiful. You guys have got more mountains and large hills than we've got here in Michigan. Skull and Crossbones 65 good day from Queensland, Australia. Yeah, and H.C. Helfman says the modern engines often experience timing chain issues due to the long length and all the bends they snake around. And that's why I was saying about the short chains you'd find in old American engines where you pop up the cover and it's just literally like this, you know. And like I said, now there's 3 sets. Oh, no, by the way, one of them's in the back of the engine. Nailhead 59, didn't that guy ever have hair? Referring to the person we just mentioned who passed away. I don't think so. I think in every role he had the shaved head. I think so. Yamaha drummer, I heard in Michigan you are no more than 6 miles from a lake and 85 miles from a Great Lake at any given time. Pretty much, pretty much. I mean, there might be some sections, depends on how big the lakes are, but we've got a lot of lakes, and of course, we're surrounded by 4 of the 5 Great Lakes. So, Vinny Sluga, are you doing anything for Easter like YouTube Live? I hadn't thought about it. I'm also not doing anything for April Fools. I got too many complaints last time. Jason Brindamar says he was also a stern dad in the movie Girls Want to Have Fun. I did not know that. Michael Chevreau, morning from Salinas, California. Ginger Cat 7925, do judges Oakley, Perkins, and Simpson receive a disproportionate number of sovereign citizens, or are there really that many of them out there? I think it's those videos get traction on YouTube. But I suspect if you watch Judge Perkins for an entire day, he'd probably have, 100 traffic tickets in front of him and, 1 sovereign citizen per week. But that's the one that gets all the attention. Now, Dan Kester points out, I like timing gears rather than chains. Yeah, the problem is they're not that common in the terms of literally a beltless and chainless timing system. I know there were some, but I think it's just cheaper to go the timing chain or timing belt. Tim Nossum, the lock-picking lawyer, is hard to compete with on April 1st. Yeah, although he does tend to do a lot of bawdy jokes, Bawdy. And I actually have some ideas for April Fool's jokes, but unfortunately, one, they don't do that well for some odd reason. And then number two, I've also gotten some, I hate to even say it, people say some really mean things to me about them. Nathan, not you. One per week seems like an unreasonably high estimate of idiots. Unreasonably high? You think there's fewer than one per week? Chuck Whitehead, how do you get a hold of these court hearings on YouTube? Depends on what you want to see. I've mentioned before, I love watching the police chase videos. And Midwest Safety, for instance, does them all the time. He's a former police officer, and he finds really cool police chases, and he puts them up, and then he talks about them. And there's other people out there who do it as well. And all the stuff is public domain. You just got to get your hands on it. And so somebody finds it probably through a FOIA request, posts it, and then this guy gets his hands on it. So Jason Brindamar liked the Turbo Encabulator video. Thank you. I've had people tell me that. I also got some very, very nasty emails about it. John Michael Karma says there is gear timing on many Detroit diesel engines. Well, yeah, when I'm talking about engines and cars and so on, I'm talking about run of the mill civilian engines for everyday cars. But there's a reason Detroit diesel engines last forever compared to a car engine. Twilight Child, you need to bring back the Friday mailbag. Always interesting to see what some of your fans have sent you. I did a bunch of those where I was opening the mail on camera. It's been a while. Tim Nossum liked the video I did where my voice was dubbed. Now I did it both ways. I had one where it was my voice, but Caleb Jones was on camera, and I did another one where it was me, but the Canadian robot lady's voice was being used instead of mine. Arts 4014, what was the complaint about the Turbo Encabulator? I had a person who commented a lot of my videos and would occasionally email me, send me an email that's about this long about how, Steve, you're an attorney. You don't have a sense of humor. You are not funny. And we don't watch your videos for you to make us laugh. We watch your videos to learn about the law. And when you do something stupid like the Turbo Encabulator, it makes you look stupid. And it makes us sorry that we watch your videos. And you're not funny. You never will be funny. Nothing you think is funny is funny. You should take that video down and never do anything like that again. But it was like this long, just over and over again. You're not funny. You never were funny. You have no sense of humor. What makes you think that's funny? I mean, just so. HC Helfman says the old Ford 300 inline 6 had timing gears instead of a chain or a belt. I assume it must be simpler because you just got all your cylinders in one line, right? Something about that? STP World doesn't sound like, no, it was a real person because I know who she was. I blocked her email since then. And I got to tell you something funny. Okay, we're all friends here, right? Me and 287 of my closest friends. I blocked her email, and she still writes to me to this day. Every day or two, I get another email from her. I see it in my garbage. And it hasn't dawned on her yet that I've never written back to her after she told me I wasn't funny. It's not that I don't think that I am funny, but Oh. Lion Zookeeper, my YouTube guilty pleasure videos are dash cams. Those are good too, especially from Europe. People in Europe drive crazy. All kinds of stuff. But yeah, caught on dash cams. They're real. Echo Track says, I am the definition of avuncular. Avuncular. I don't even know what that word means. I've never said it out loud till just now. Oh. Arts 4014 says the Chevy 250 straight 6 also has timing gears. Okay. Paul Thomas, you're funny adjacent. Chief FC says time for the OED. The problem is that the A is way back there. It's far. I couldn't reach it. Yeah, Robert Lee, Russian dash cams. That it seems Russia or between Russia and like Eastern Europe, man. Oh, very funny. Lois Miller says, how about a video where you reprise your DJ days? Problem is, if I played any music, it would get copyright stricken. So, and I hate to get copyright strikes on my channel. I guess it wouldn't be copyright strike. It would be something else, but. Mrs. Teresa, Steve, don't listen to her. Oh, I don't. That's why I blocked her emails. I don't read her either. and so, unfortunately, my garbage can and my email, I see what's in there before I dump it. I wish I could just dump without looking at it, but every now and then I look and it's like, oh, there she is again. Oh, there she is again. There she is again. It's like, huh. Do I look funny to you? Do I amuse you? Paul. Lock Watcher, I'm not familiar with the trial. The name doesn't ring a bell. I'm sorry. Anonymous says I had an 82 F-150 with a 300 that lasted for 400,000 miles with only a head rebuild at around 275. Wow. I'm not familiar with the Ford engines as much as I should be. So, yeah, I can play public domain music that won't get me a strike, Robert Lee and Grande Taco. Of course, do I really want to play like a public domain version of like the Hokey Pokey or something? What doesn't get you struck? James Boyd, like your Chrysler Turban car models, I've always found you humorous. What I mean is uplifting personality and humor surrounding the law is really refreshing. Lawyer Dog hilarious, the sign. Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And the funny thing is that every now and then I will say something and I'll just put a reference to a song in or something. I said the other day, I said the future ain't what it used to be. And I know people recognize it as a Yogi Berra quote, but I'm sure some people thought, well, that's stupid because the future ain't what it used to be, but that'd be the past. I guarantee you that there are people thinking that. And so it might not appeal to you as funny, but I think some people caught it. James Milano, hi, Steve from Puebla. The Prodigal Stranger, I'll bet Blue October will let you use some of their song for that video. No, the problem is that it's not the bands, it's their management companies or the people who license their music. Jillian Shaban, happy Palm Sunday, everyone. And to you. Dan Boyd says UPS trucks used a lot of the Ford 300s in the 90s, and they sounded well because of the long straight exhaust. Really? Okay. I mean, UPS trucks, as we all know, run forever, right? Carl's Corner, did I miss anything? No, of course not. James Thompson, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Oh, You come to the fork in the road, take it. Robert Lee. Yeah, Terrell Cochran says, Steve, I don't know if you talked about this yet, but one of the jurors on the Afterman trial said the judge asked them later what went wrong. And, the thing is, I've had people ask me about that, and without seeing him say it, without hearing it in context, I doubt he walked back and said, hey, what went wrong? Boom. And last week people were mad because they said that he didn't thank them afterwards. Well, now it turns out he did go backstage and talk to him, back behind the bench. And now it's like, oh, but he said the wrong things. And it's like, I would need, and obviously it's not on the record, it's not on camera. So, because I've seen judges talk to jurors before and ask them, okay, what did these people do wrong? What did they do wrong? I mean, out of context, it's very, very difficult to tell. John Weimer says, I love your show, including your microphones, especially the D104 Silver Eagle, which I think is also nicknamed the Lollipop, correct? Sig226, didn't Yogi Berra once call the Rolls Royce the Cadillac of cars? I'm not sure, because that's a running joke. I've heard that a variety of times, where somebody will say that such and such a car is the Cadillac of cars when there is a Cadillac of cars, or, et cetera, et cetera. Joe Phillips, curious what brand of mountain bike you purchased. I bought it's a Scott brand. It is not full suspension. It is a front suspension only. They did not have any full suspensions in stock, but my old bike, which was a Haro, was a full suspension. But I do most of my riding on dirt roads. So I'll keep my full suspension bike for trails, and I'll keep this one for the roads. And it's nice. Every couple of years they upgrade the componentry and so on. But when you're riding a 10-year-old bike and you switch to a brand new bike, it does seem a lot better. But a lot of that is simply that you're going from a high mileage vehicle to a low mileage vehicle. Christopher McCarron, I'm waiting for a positive video about AI from you. I did that video about 2 weeks ago where I defended AI, where somebody was suing AI, claiming that AI had committed malpractice. It's not a person that can't commit malpractice. Well, I'm going to sue my computer for committing malpractice. Brian Comer, ever been to the Oshkosh Air Show? No, I have not. I know people who go all the time, but I've not been there. Mark Heil, happy Sunday. Little late, but made it. I've never seen the show Quantum Leap, Mrs. Teresa. I'm sorry. Everything stage legal. I'm happy to connect you to Blue October's manager, friend and client for decades. He already gets a screenshot and a link from me every time you mention him. Did you send him a link to the video I did where I talked about going to see them? I did an entire video on them because Justin gave me the bro hug. Oh, boy. Arts 4014, never answer an anonymous letter. Southern Torin points out that Brian Comer mentioned there being flying cars to Oshkosh, and the question is, do any of them fold up into a briefcase at the touch of a button? That's the future we were promised. Yeah, Belio been to Oshkosh 3 times, but many years ago. It's amazing. One year they brought in the Concorde. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's amazing. Christo points out that the judge in the Afro Man trial is retired, and he's now an appointed judge. And so he occasionally gets moved around, and that happens all the time, where a judge will retire and another court that's backlogged is going to say, hey, do you want to come in and try some cases for us? And I mean, I remember a judge in Oakland County, when she retired, she was busier trying cases up in Oakland County Circuit, and she came from Novi. Kraken loved the Blue October video. Arts 4014, can we have a yard wildlife update? I had a coyote in my backyard this morning, and I saw him on Wednesday or Tuesday. So both times, right around 7:15, 7:30, I look out in my backyard, and there's just trotting across the back a coyote. And, you know, my first thought when I first saw one is I thought, oh, there's a dog back there. But then you realize, oh, that's not a dog. That's a coyote. And I've got foxes also, but the foxes are extremely rare. I almost never see them. They pop up on my video, you know, my security cameras. But I mean, I've seen the coyote now with my own eyes a couple dozen times. He's still a distance from the house. He's not like walking up, knocking on the door or anything. But I saw him again this morning. Mark Miller, I'm about 30 minutes late. Can we all like just start over? Why not? Nansen Dubois, do they pay appointed judges? Yeah. I don't know how much they get paid, but I'm sure they get paid decently. Nailhead, have you ever been in a Lockheed Constellation? No, but I've seen them. Very cool looking planes. Very cool looking planes. I like the way that thing looks. Shattering Illusions have had a family of emus around here. Okay, I'm assuming you're not in Michigan, right? Boomer, coyotes and foxes do not play well together. I've heard that. I've heard that the coyotes, if they sense the foxes are around, will chase them away, and the foxes know what's good for them. G. Keyman, hello, Steve Leta. How you doing today? Doing pretty good. How about you? John Zabelek, I saw a robin about 2 days ago. I got robins building nests underneath my deck every single year. And I saw the robin who occupies the main nest probably a few weeks ago. So they've been here for a while. Shattering Illusions with the emus, not in Michigan. Nansen Dubois' coyotes and foxes can be dangerous, especially the rabies. Yeah, but I don't know how many rabies cases we've had in Michigan recently. I mean, no, I know, like for instance, in some parts of the country, raccoons are known to carry rabies, but it's much less common in Michigan. Yeah, Mrs. Teresa says those coyotes and foxes like to eat cats, and I've told my neighbors that I've got neighbors who let their cats run wild, and I'm like, you do understand, we've got coyotes, right? They're like, okay, and I'm like, if your cat doesn't come home one night, that's probably what happened to it. Oh, okay. Steve G, do you check the road conditions in the Explorer before you take out the Cobra? Well, not like explicitly, like one-on-one, like go drive the course I'm going to do the Cobra, but I try to be aware of the road conditions, because the primary thing I'm wondering about is, number one, are the roads wet and are they still salty? But we've had more than enough rain now to wash away the road salt from the winter. Bob Kerflugen's checking in from Gaylord, which is up north a ways, like towards here on the Lower Peninsula, with a decent amount of the white stuff still on the ground. Arts 4014 says the Lockheed Constellation was designed by the same guy that designed the SR-71 Blackbird. Cool. Bob Bong, it's 60 in Niles. I got 54, 55 right now. I said last week I was going to go for a mountain bike ride after the show ended. I literally walked outside and it started raining. Like, it hadn't rained all day. It started raining like 3:05. So I hope to go for a bike ride today if it doesn't rain, but it's not supposed to. Oh, Maine Marine points out the bare naked ladies always wanted an emu. Kazooie Tricia, I've only got hedgehogs in Scotland. Hedgehogs are cool. I've always liked that. Dan Boyd, I've often heard that if you see a raccoon during the daytime, it's probably rabid, or it could be in distress. So, like for instance, like if a mother and her babies are out walking around and the mom gets hit by a car, the babies don't know what to do. So you gotta be careful, but you should be aware of that. Steve G, what about potholes? Now you can see those with your naked eyes. I mean, I don't need an explorer to find the potholes. Yeah, Jennifer points out that mammals that are generally nocturnal, which I guess would also include like possums, you don't often see them. I have seen possums during the day on my property, and they always seem very confused. Like, why is it so light out all of a sudden? G. Thornton, we love Culvers here in San Antonio. I love Culvers too. Shoybird, owls are also notorious for killing cats. I'd not heard that. Depends, I assume, on the size of the owl, because there's some small owls that probably couldn't kill a cat very easily, but probably. Daniel Kester says more than one guy designed the SR-71. Well, yeah, the SR-71 is a product of the Skunk Works, but I'm guessing that somebody who worked in the Constellation also worked in the SR-71. Shattering Illusions, I have some spare emus if you want them, but don't deliver. Johnny Quest, the Coyotes sponsored by Acme. Probably. Mrs. Teresa, a couple weeks ago, I saw a flock of geese flying the wrong direction. They're going south instead of north. I see that all the time. But quite often it's because they're flying around and they realize, oh, it's getting towards dusk. There's a lake over there, and they'll go to the lake regardless. They simply want like someplace, but generally speaking, over time. So everything staged legal. I sent Blue October's manager the video within minutes of you posting. He responded, "How cool is that? That's what it's all about right here." He nailed it. That is absolutely the experience. That's what it's all about right here. He nailed it. That is absolutely the experience. Appreciate that. If you could send me an email directly to my email address, steve@latoslaw.com, I would like to communicate with you a little bit about this, because I have a real penchant, a real passion for Blue October, more so than the average person out there. And I'd like to tell you something. So please, if you could do that, my email address is steve@latoslaw.com. Hang on. I'll type it out so you don't get confused, because some people do. I had somebody send me a spam the other day and they go, "Hey, I can get you a 1-800 number that's still available that you can use for your website. It's 1-800 LHTSL." And the guy misspelled my name. Last thing I would want is a 800 number of my last name misspelled. Okay, don't type my real name, misspell it. Just guess on it. Which misspelling to go with. Get me a gator. Culvers just opened in the Sioux a few weeks ago. Wow. I mean, Culvers has some presence in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in small towns. There's one in Houghton, but Sault Ste. Marie is pretty small. Very, very cool. I go there probably once every couple of years. Daniel Kester says barn owls can get a house cat. Okay, but barn owls are decent sized birds. I'm talking about, I've seen some small owls. Owls come in all shapes and sizes. Oh boy. Shattering Illusions, Latos Law. Yes, I do. Thank you. In case you're curious, I've had the URL latoslaw.com since about 1995 or 6. So I've been hearing it for 30 years. Joe Phillips saw a bobcat in his backyard for the first time. I've never seen a bobcat, but I'm in the southern half of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. I'm not even sure how far north you got to go to find a bobcat. I know there's bobcats in the Upper Peninsula. I'm not sure about the lower that much, though. Shoybird worked on Montana Wilderness, and we found cat collars in great gray owls, which are indeed a large owl. Talking about snowy owls and up. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. And when you say you found them in the owl, the owl eat the collar too? So I know that owls are also like garbage disposals where they'll eat anything and somehow it all works out. Get Me a Gator says the Sioux Culvers will have to compete with Clyde's and West Pier when they open up for the season. Yeah, well, Clyde's is an institution. There's also Clyde's over near St. Ignace, but Forbin Colossus in Discovery has a client been ordered to turn over their cell phone to read messages, or they go directly to the cell phone carrier. They can subpoena the cell phone carrier. I've never had a client have to turn over a phone, but I mean, my client's phone communications are almost never relevant to my cases. Nailhead points out you can call Mr. Plow. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow. Echo Tracks once drove home at night and a bat snagged and wrapped around his antenna. I had a situation where I was in my brother's pickup truck and we saw a bat dart underneath. Like we lost sight of it as it ducked underneath the front end of the car. And when we got where we're going, the bat was wedged into the grill, but it was no longer with us. It was a former bat. It was deceased. Chris Benaces says like, comment, share, subscribe. We got 271 people in the room. Arts 4414, have you considered adding a pond to your property? No, I consider my property to not be someplace I want water to hang out on. I do what I can to get the water off my property, but we'll see. Ask Gutog, that bat ceased to be. I just read John Cleese's autobiography. It's hilarious. And he talks about everything that basically led up to Monty Python, and you see where it comes from. Sub GR says, don't forget to hype. And you know what's funny is I got an email from YouTube a while back explaining to me what the hype button is all about. And I forgot all about it. I don't even know what it means. Don't even know. Southern Torin, yes, that bat was pining for the fjords. Lovely plumage. And what's funny is that skit was originally based on a skit they'd done before Monty Python existed, but it wasn't set in a pet shop. And they're trying to think what could possibly be something where you could take something back into a shop and there'd be no question that the customer was right and that the store owner was basically gaslighting the person. Parrot's not dead. He's sleeping. Bam, 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 bam. He's dead. School Bus Mike, would you ever do a cross-country drive in your Cobra or your Viper? The Cobra is out because I wouldn't want to drive it cross-country in case I got caught in the rain, which would be ugly in an open-top car. I would consider it in a Viper. But I wouldn't just do it just to do it. If I had someplace cool to go for a reason, I might film part of it and have some fun with it. But it depends. I'm not averse to it. I did take my Viper the first summer I had it up to Copper Harbor and back, which was 600 miles each way, something like that. Skull and Crossbones says wombats are the worst thing for a car to hit. Have you ever seen a car that hit a deer? Because that can get ugly. I have to imagine, is there a problem with kangaroos in Australia? Have you hit a kangaroo with your car? Or as Bill points out, try hitting a moose. Now, that's less common in Michigan because we do have moose, but they're very few and far between, as we say. But if you hit a moose, you might be hitting something that weighs more than your car. Depends on what type of car you're on. Oh, Shattering Illusion says the trick here is that wombats are bastards, and they go under and take out your sump. Because what a deer is going to do is take out your front end, the grill, the radiator, probably put a big old ding in your hood. And if they bounce onto the hood, maybe take out your windshield. So Nailhead59 says they ran a Super Bowl commercial a year ago with a slogan, "Bring out your best." I immediately thought of "Bring out your dead." Bring out your dead. Bing. Sub GR says an armadillo looks like they'd hurt something. Yeah, it's like kind of like when you run over a piece of a tire, a truck tire that spun off a rim. And it's tangled up in the road. And if you try to go over it and you hear it hit something underneath your car. Bill says he saw a jackrabbit do $1,700 in damage to a WRX. Was that body damage or underneath the car? Foreman Colossus' price of old cars like a 1970 Dodge Swinger are crazy high. I don't know who's paying $20,000 for a Dart that was $5K before the pandemic. What's weird, too, is some people are paying up on some really goofy cars. Mopar, for a couple of years, made these really weird patterns that you could order, like flower power for your vinyl top, that are hideous. They were hideous back then. They're hideous now. And they're like, but it's rare. It's rare because it's hideous. Daniel Kester hitting a cow would not be great with a car either. Yeah, I think as far as bulk goes, a cow would probably be similar to a moose. The difference with the moose is elevated. It's up on stilts. Oh. Terrell Cockrum, turkey are worse to hit than a deer. It's like hitting a bowling ball. I've said this before, but I was once driving on the road that comes down from Kalkaska towards Clare, and just two lanes going this way, and there's trucks coming this way, and I saw a turkey go running across the road, and he launched. He hit rotation speed at about halfway across my lane and elevated up and got just even with the windshield of a truck. And the truck hit this turkey at about 60 miles an hour, and it just poof. And it looked like the closing screen of Missile Command. It was so cool. But the turkey didn't make it. And I'm sure it took out the windshield of the truck, but what are you going to do? Joey C is lucky to survive a deer cycle collision, or are you just saying that you'd be lucky to survive one? Yeah, obviously, when you're on a motorcycle, it's different than being like a deuce and a half. I don't even know if I'd bother to slow down if I hit a deer on my deuce. If I just who knows? Arts 4014. Hey, who is Finland's greatest athlete? I actually have people who are still arguing with me about that. And I had a guy. I highly doubt he's here. I had a guy send me an email, and he gave me the name of somebody I'd never heard of before. And he goes, "Steve, look this guy up." So I looked him up, and the guy had one gold medal. One. I'd never heard of him before. I go, "Okay, why'd I look that guy up?" And he goes, "He's a more well-known athlete in Finland than Paavo Nurmi." I go, "No, he's not. You're telling me one guy who won one gold medal like in 1932 or something. No, like they don't build stadiums and name them after this guy. I'm convinced the guy's pulling my leg. And here's the thing. I now realize that whenever I do a video where I point out something stupid that someone said, people will purposely start telling me stupid things to see if I do a video about it. So I've got to put another moratorium on videos about stupid things people have said to me. Because that right there, I know you're joking, Arts, and I understand that. That's fine. But the point is, I don't do videos about everything, and there's stuff at both ends that I don't talk about, including the remarkably stupid. Christopher McCarron, I hit a deer on my bike. A bicycle? That would, I mean, that would just getting knocked off your bike. You can get hurt of it if you don't do it right, right? Chris Bedesa, does anybody here have an Olympic gold medal? You mean have they won one or they bought one like at an antique shop? Steve BM says that the AI variations out there all agree with me on Paavo Nurmi. Jason Brindamauer heard of a guy that got hit in the chest by a large bird while riding a motorcycle and he passed away. I've heard of that also. I'm just not sure whether I heard that from somebody or actually made the news or something. You always wonder about that, but it's possible. Obviously, just a large impact to your chest could cause your heart to go astray. So hang on. Just realized I've been yakking for over an hour. And what always happens is my throat starts to hurt, and I'm like, oh, I should have started drinking a long time ago. Not alcohol, of course. By the way, on the set right now back here is some bourbon that's gifted to me by the people, the fine people of West Virginia. Arts 4014, stupid comments and things you feud about are funny to the rest of us. See, and that's the thing. If you go and look at the comments underneath my most recent video, there are 4 or 5 where people go, this is stupid. Who cares? Why are you talking about this? And I want to go, why are you watching it? And also had several people go, you forgot about Simo Heha, the sniper. Okay, I'm not sure if you understand what like the Olympics is, but shooting Russians is not yet an Olympic sport. And several people go, don't you know who he is? Yeah, I know who he is. He's not an athlete. I was talking about athletes. Aaron Freeman touched an Olympic gold medal. Okay, which one? Arts 4014. The bourbon is made by the family of either the Hatfields or the McCoys, one of the descendants of that famous feud. Peter Mandis, would you advise Tiger Woods just hire a car service from here on out? He may have to. Because this is not, I don't think this is his first drunk driving, allegedly. And there's a very good chance he won't be legally allowed to drive for a while. Arts 4014 says, yes, in Finland, sniping is a sport. Well, yeah, but the problem is it's not an Olympic sport. Oh. Zach, are you Team Hatfield or McCoy? Do they even know what they were feuding about? My understanding is that it was one of those things where they think it might have started with an argument over like whose pig was on whose property or something. Just one of them feuds. Chris Bidet says Tiger's third. And it might have to do with where the timing of them, how far apart they are. The guy's got problems with cars, though. Oh. Tom Tuttle, what about biathlon? Yeah, believe it or not, sniping and target shooting has made it into the Olympics in that sense. Absolutely. But strangely, I think that's, I don't know if, I'm sure there are Finns who do it, but I've never heard of any, Finn superstars in that sport. Christopher Siddall says, hey, man, I don't know how you came up, but I've been binge listening for like a week now. Love the videos. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Just started putting them up a week ago. Just kidding. Oh, boy. Steve says the feud did start over a stolen pig. Well, that's what they said. Oh, boy. I wonder how good his golf game is right now, because I know that he isn't as obviously good as he was back when he was dominant, but I know he's also had some issues with respect to injuries and so on. Belio, maybe Tiger needs to drive something more subdued like a Viper, or maybe a car that's a little harder to flip. It's now, don't get me wrong, I actually heard of somebody who flipped a Viper, but it's extremely hard to do. Cisco the fish is on a scale of 11 to 13. How is your day going? I was trying to describe to somebody the other day, and I go on a scale of 1 to 10, she was a G. Juan Peralta, why doesn't the Supreme Court of the United States file contempt of court charges like other courts typically do? Can you give me an example of a time when somebody should have been found in contempt of the Supreme Court? Because I believe if they wanted to, they could. The Supreme Court is, in fact, the Supreme Court of the land. And in the Constitution, they're granted quite broad powers. Yeah, Dougie says he could hire a driver. Actually, after all, he has a little bit of money. Lois Miller, is it possible to get an injury playing golf? I'm not a golfer, and even I can tell you, yes, back injuries. Back injuries are very serious, and you screw your back up, it'll hurt your golf game. Travis Williamson says the most famous contempt SCOTUS case was Larry Flint carried out of the court in wheelchair. Okay, so the question is, did they do anything to beyond that, or did they just get him out of here? Because that could have been what their penalty was. Is you can't sit in here like that. Shattering Illusions says all the courts can deal with contempt. It's a common law situation from pre-revolution. Yes, and that's pretty much something that's been going on forever. Dan Boyd, Tiger needs to stop rolling over his negative equity. It seems he's constantly upside down in one car or another. That's good. That's good. Foreman Colossus, have you subpoenaed OnStar records? No, but whether they're proprietary or not doesn't matter. They can still be subpoenaed. I have no use for them because I do lemon law cases, so I can't imagine why they'd matter. Oh, Echo Tracks' golf cart driving mishaps also can be fun videos. Yeah, you go on the internet, you can find anything you want. I mean, you can find, golf cart crashes, and you'll see quite often drunken people running their golf carts into ponds on golf courses. That's a common one. Bill points out getting hit by lightning can also be a golf injury, especially you're walking around out in the open with a metal pole in your hand. Oh. Belio, I tried playing golf, but got tired running those 18 bases. I've played a couple rounds of golf in my life. Hang on. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it was fun, but to me, it was a little slow and a little bit too time consuming. Eastwind. Now, I've heard all kinds of stories, but whether or not he passed his breathalyzer, or whether or not he gave any tests, or whether or not. But my understanding is I read someplace that he gave a refusal to something, and this stuff varies so wildly from state to state. There are states where if you refuse, it's just as bad as being guilty. Other states, so. Route 32. Hi, Steve. Hi, Route 32. Arts 14 points out that mini golf does count as golf. Yeah, but it's different. I've played a lot of mini golf. When I was in high school, me and a bunch of my friends, we'd ride up the mini golf place about 2 miles away, play around, and ride our bikes home. Chris Bedesa also points out not only is golf difficult, it's expensive and it's not for everyone. It's expensive. It is. Daniel Kester likes bowling. Sub GR says golfing is only fun while intoxicated in some form. Oh, there's a lot of people who you'll see drinking and driving on the golf course, which probably, like I said, leads to a lot of those golf carts in the swamp or in the ponds. I actually know an attorney, not a real good friend of mine, but he's somebody that I knew quite well back in the day. was golfing at a very well-known golf course in Michigan. Left the golf course after drinking a bit too much while golfing, and was involved in a fatal car accident, and went to prison as a result. He went to prison. So there you go. Nick Bradley is a famous video of a guy getting a drunk driving ticket in a golf court. I think he was a coach who went with the "Do you know who I am?" defense. I've seen a couple. I've seen one where a guy was riding a golf cart, pulled up his driveway. A cop pulls up behind him and wants to give him a ticket. He's like, "You can't give me a ticket. I'm in my driveway." Cop's like, "Yeah, but you were in the road a moment ago." "Not anymore." "But you were a moment ago." And the guy's like, "No, no." And it turns out that he gets arrested. So, oh boy. Fatty Butterpants is a golf course superintendent. Seen everything. Stupidity is number one cause of accidents. Drunk and stupid, number two. The great Quidjuba, no, I've never seen a video of an orangutan driving a golf cart. Wouldn't surprise me if they could, but I suspect that once in a while they might get in accidents, right? I guess Silent Hangus had a birthday recently. And the Prodigal Stranger has one tomorrow? Okay. Mark Miller says that belligerence often comes with drunken golfing. Steve BM says, "Are you going to watch the Michigan-Tennessee game? It's about to start." Yeah, I saw it's scheduled to start at 2:15. I'll watch part of it. I'm rooting for them, but we'll see what happens. It's interesting. I watched them beat Alabama, and at the half they were down by 2, and I thought, "Wow, this game's close." Second half, they walked away with it. So, you got to play the whole game, I guess. There's a discussion going on about airplanes, DC-10s and 747s. I've got no idea how that started. Nick Bradley, did the guy in his driveway call base? What's amazing is I've seen so many videos where someone's driving down the road, cops driving along behind them. They realize they pull into a private parking lot, or they pull in a driveway. Like, "You can't give me a ticket now. I'm not on the road anymore." And number one, if that was true, just go to court and fight it. But it's not true. So Mrs. Teresa says, "I don't think anybody would want me bowling or driving a car since I'm almost completely blind." But I know that they can set games up where you can go bowling, for instance. Wade Pittenger is Steve's second team, Notre Dame, seeing he's a hunchback. I'm not sure what any of that means, unless you're not talking about me. Sig226 is Tennessee for the win. Dare to dream, my friend. John Zablak, the X-Files flew the best. I like the X-Files. Aldo Schmedic, what is your opinion on turbochargers? Should I buy a car with them or one without? That's a toss-up because nowadays they're much more common, and I think they got a lot of the bugs worked out of them. But I mean, I've owned a car that had a bad turbocharger, and it cost a fortune to get it fixed. And I've known somebody else who had a car. So what you need to do is look up that make and model to see how dependable those particular turbochargers are. But I mean, there are vehicles out there with turbochargers that are decent. It's just a matter of, Belia says they just tipped off with the game. Go Volunteers. What's funny is I've actually met somebody who told me they were a Tennessee fan, and they said that, go Vols. And I go, yeah, what does Vols mean? They go, I don't know. Well, a meadow vole is a mouse, but it's short for volunteers. It goes back to the Civil War. Aldo Schmedix says, thanks, buying my first car. The great quidge about too bad most cars with turbos are four bangers. Yeah, but that's one of the reasons they do that is they figure they can go lower displacement and use the four banger, use turbocharger to increase the horsepower of the four banger. And then when it's not needed, dial that back and drive, more efficiently. Prodigal Stranger, my last 4 cars have all been turbos. I just wished all cars with turbos came with boost gauges. I think somehow it's not right to have a turbo with no boost gauge. Lewis Browning says cars with turbochargers need the oil change more often. Yeah, you got to make sure you don't ever want that one bearing to go bad. There is that one vital bearing inside that turbocharger. And if it's fed with oil, you don't ever want it to go bad. Ever. Kevin Smith says slow mode sucks. Were you planning on writing more often than every 45 seconds? Arts 4014 says in World War II, White's half track isn't much more expensive. I remember pricing them. The ones I saw were. The problem is operationally, they cost a fortune because the tracks are a nightmare. Southern Torn, no, I did not see the video of a couple of golfers where their ball landed next to an alligator. Have not seen that. Jason Brindamar, I want a boost gauge just because. Boomer 6129, those small engines with turbos don't last long. I've seen a few that did, but like I said, they're getting better over the years. MH08, Scotty Kilmer still making videos. I thought that one video was his last video. The guy would have a video every 3 days going, this is my last video. I'm done. The great Quidju, I missed the classic turbo cars like the Shelby GLHS. Chrysler got a hold of Shelby very, very late in life and asked if they could put his name on some real. It's not the kind of stuff he would have endorsed back in the 1960s. Let's put it that way. And yeah. Old Paint says the tracks for a White's half track are about $10,000 per pair and last 3,000 to 4,000 miles last time I checked. Bob Loblaw at 100,000 RPM. What could go wrong? Arts 4014, but with the half track, how many miles could you put it on anyway? Well, the thing is, I mean, if you got road tracks for it, you could take it places, but I've never seen a half track being driven on the roads ever. Not at a car show, nowhere. And I think that's for a reason. I could be wrong. Arts 4014, hey, don't knock on the Omni GHLS. Yeah, but what are the statistics on that Omni? Like what, a quarter mile, like 23 minutes? Like what? 0 to 60, and they have to mark it on a calendar? Like seriously, what were the performance stats on an actual Omni GHLS? Yeah, Dan Boyd, Shelby had a lot to do with the Viper. He was one of the guys that they consulted with. Josh Homan, good afternoon, and to one and all as well. Say, I missed the Eagle Talon. I missed the Eagle Talon. Foreman Colossus reminds us of a controversy with Carol Shelby, who was accused of bringing out some frames and saying they were old frames from 1968 and then built Cobras in the 90s. And the big question is this an original Cobra? Is it a new Cobra? What's the deal? Carl's Corner, what's the MPG for a half track? I bet it's the single digits. It's got to be. Old Paint says the half tracks are rubber tracked and okay for the road, but didn't they also make battle tracks for it that were better for off-road and so on? Darren McQuaid, the Eagle Talon was a fun car. Had a customer who had several in various states of tune. What was the Chrysler Conquest? There's a Mitsubishi Starion rebadged. A friend of mine had one of those. That thing's pretty quick. But Dan Boyd says the regular GLHS was a 14-second car without much work and said you could probably get into 12s with some work. Yeah, Terrell Cochran says that there might be issues with the half tracks on safety standards, such as emissions, lighting, et cetera, et cetera. I can tell you that my M35 was street legal in Michigan because I had civilian plates on it. But I also know that it had turn signals, it had brake lights, it had headlights, had window wipers, it had rearview mirrors, and it was old, so it got around things like airbags and so on. But I know that Michigan and some other states have cracked down more recently on former military vehicles. Polach Elliott says, my partner and I want to settle a debate. When judges and attorneys interview jurors after a trial, are they limited what they can talk about? Probably not. I mean, during the trial and before the trial, absolutely. But after the trial, there's questions about ethics, but in terms of like, are there any off-topic things? I don't know. I've talked to jurors after many trials, and Nailhead said, I read a review of the 2003 Mercury Marauder that said the improved suspension brought the car's responsiveness from dead to asleep. Standard deviation. Can you put a chrome differential plate on a half track to improve performance? Or how about some ladder bars? Route 32 says the MPG for a half track is about 5 gallons to a mile. Darren McQuaid, yes, the Conquest TSI. The Great Quidjabo had a Conquest, but it was an automatic? Really? Steve BM, no, I've got nothing planned for April Fool's Day. I mentioned that earlier. The April Fool's videos don't do that well, number one. And I pointed out that I actually got some hate mail regarding the last one. So, I will one of these days. I have an idea that is so good. I just didn't think of it in time. So I may have to try it next year and see how it goes. Old Paint says U.S. half-track tracks are a single piece, continuous, or not like tank tracks. That means they're probably a whole different world of how to install those, right? Because I've seen them take the tracks on and off World War II tanks where they, disable the pin and drive it off the track and onto the next track. So Mike Lackner, are lawyers like cops and tend to look away when their own mess up, or are they moral cutthroat? I don't think lawyers look out for each other in the sense the way the cops do. Like, I don't, you never hear about the lawyers rallying around a bad lawyer going, hey, But Old Paint says US M3 half tracks have a fuel capacity of 60 gallons and a range of about 200 miles. So about 4 miles to a gallon, maybe a little less. Very similar to my 5-ton. Yeah, Tim Nosmus says the Mitsubishi Starion looks futuristic for its time. It did. It had a lot of um, interesting lines. Interesting lines. Jason Brindamauer, who remembers the Homer? Very, very early episode. Or the Canyoneros say, ah. The words to the Canyoneros song are classic. Unresolved fires are a matter for the courts. Aldo Schmedik, 4 miles per gallon, not bad for weight and tracks. Yeah, what's the mileage on an M1 Army tank? Someday I'll do some videos about bad lawyers I've encountered. Someday. Darren McQuaid had a 1982 Plymouth Sapporo, which is a badge Mitsubishi Galant, that I converted to a 360 4-barrel 4-speed. The 360 is a Mopar motor we don't hear a whole lot about these days. Darren McQuaid, my first conversion was a Datsun 260Z with a 440. So I have a question for you. Could I get one of those Chargers, the little Chargers from the early 80s? And could I jam a Hemi into it? Because if someone told me that they could jam a Hemi into one of those Chargers, I would start the build right now. But it's got to be a 426 Hemi shoehorned into one of those little old Chargers from back in the day. Yeah, Aldo Schmedik says it's 0.3 to 0.7 miles per gallon on the M1. But of course, that's a very, very heavy vehicle, and it's running a turbine engine. So Terrell Cockrum, in Michigan, do you need a CDL to use a semi as a tow vehicle for a fifth wheel? I have no idea. I don't know. I am, since today I put a load of laundry in the washing machine and forgot to press start. I've done some things very similar to that. I put something in the microwave and walked away from it. I'm like, oh, I need to get the thing going. Oh boy. Tin door tailgaters in the house. Foreman Colossus says the Hemi Underglass was an early Barracuda fastback. I wore the shirt for Hemi Underglass in the last day or two on camera. I bought one in honor of the episode where he gave Jay Leno a ride in the car and then he flipped it. Oh, and Jay and that guy get out of the car and they're both looking at each other like, we both almost just died. And that guy's thinking, I almost killed Jay Leno. And Jay Leno's going, I got in a car with that guy and he flipped it. Todd says, I saw a 1976 Dodge Colt with a Hemi in it. An actual 426 Hemi? Where would they put it? Lewis Browning says any vehicle with air brakes needs a CDL, which might be true where you are, but my M35 had air brakes. I didn't have a CDL, and I didn't need one. Old Paint agrees. Jerry McQuaid says stuffing an engine into anything is possible. The key is to not have it obvious. Well, that's part of it, but also the question is, do we have to do things like, I don't know, like literally cut huge chunks out from underneath the car and move a lot of stuff around, The prodigal stranger saw a car shop guy on TV put a Corvette Z06 engine into a Tesla. Oh, boy. Sub-GR saw a Chevy Chevette with a Buick 3.8 turbo engine, and it barely fit. I mean, I'm always fascinated at people who figure this stuff out. Jason Brindamauer, who drove more of other people's cars, Jay Leno or the classic car mustache guy, the guy with the curly Q mustache? I'm sure he did, because Jay Leno drove a lot of cars that were his. I've met that guy, by the way. I was at a car show in 2015 down in Alabama, and he was there filming some segments, as was I. Standard deviation. Ever work on a Mustang 2 with a 302? I have to pull the radiator to replace the water pump. Some of those cars, man, where like the engineers never discussed it with anybody. Like, oh, by the way, you're gonna have to drop the engine to get at that spark plug or something. It's like, what? Arts 4014 says you can fit a big engine in a Monza because it's designed to take a Winkle. Dennis Gage, Dan Boyd, I forgot the guy's name. Dennis Gage. Matt Wars has several Malibus. You had to take the bumper off to change the headlight. I had a friend who used to joke that he lived in a house so small he had to step outside to change his mind. You nailhead. Dennis Gage, my classic car. The great Quidjabo, who's good at swapping engines? Teams running the 24 hours of lemons. They get really creative sometimes. G Keyman, I made you a Discord server if you wish to use it. I don't even know what a Discord server is. It's like saying you built me a turbo encabulator. I mean, okay. Mark Miller's 2015 Escape requires you to remove the windshield wipers to get to the battery. Prodigal Strangers is someone in the chat months ago asked if some smart guy ever put a Coyote engine in a Roadrunner. It could be done. Sub-GR 80s era S10 with a 2.8 V6 has the fuel filter behind the power steering pump. He had removed that to replace the filter. What a dumb thing. There's got to be a way to like reroute the fuel line or something. It's kind of like the Vegas that had the single piece air cleaner. You got to take the whole thing and throw it, buy a new one. Like what? Who'd do that? James Thompson, an 84 Vet to replace the battery to take off a wheel. The same is true on my Viper. But on my Viper, the battery is behind a door. It's inside the wheel well of the driver's side of the car. And they did that to put the battery in the back. Now, they probably could have put the battery up front someplace, but God intended you to put more weight behind you. Aldo Schmedic, do you keep a survival kit in your car on long trips? No, I just tend to take my newer vehicles in the long trips. So I went to West Virginia on Thursday and came back Friday. So round trip about 800 or 900 miles. And I mean it's a newer vehicle, so I'm not worried about that. But sometimes I keep a flashlight, a couple tools, that kind of thing, but not lately. Peter Mannix, didn't Vegas rust out before their air cleaner? Probably. The engine may have rusted too. I'm joking. Say says a YouTube channel he watches talked with a GR Corolla. The battery's in the back, but you could jump the car in the front. Yeah, my Viper, if you pop the hood, there are posts, and you can see one is a ground and one goes down to the starter. And so the battery in the back has the battery cables running up to these that run to the engine. So if you needed to jump that car, you pop the hood and jump it right there. You don't have to take the wheel off or anything like that. Bigger concern is that if you're in the car in an accident and something bad happens, the door handles are electric, which I've never really liked. And so there is a catch up behind your head. And I will always tell people, by the way, just to let you know, there's a catch up here. If we get stuck in the car, not likely going to happen, but theoretically. Bill says his friend's Vega blew up. He yanked the stereo and walked home. Stereo's probably worth more in the car, right? Bilo, did your Vega have the one-piece throwaway air cleaner? I don't remember. I had a Vega for a very brief period of time. Very brief. Get me a Gator. The upcoming Slate pickup truck has me interested. No radio, manual crank windows, do-it-yourself repairs. I've been saying for years somebody needs to do that. Arts 4014 has the tidal wave of AI generated videos in YouTube had an impact on your viewer count? No, not as far as I know. My numbers have been either steady or climbing for the last 7 or 8 years. Tim Nossum, do you have a cooling T-shirt with a water pump? I did not know they existed. Ed Bolian uses them. I was unaware of that. I should have asked him. I can tell you that somebody recently sent me a video and said, "Quick, put this on VinWiki." I said, "You got the wrong guy. It's not my channel." Nailhead says some Vegas were shipped vertically. Yeah, they actually figured out that there's a way to ship them vertically by driving them onto you have a train car, and the walls would fall down like a ramp, and I believe that they put the car on the ramp and then they tip it up, and that way you could put a whole bunch of them in there, and it saved a ton on the shipping. But of course, the batteries and other things with fluids weren't designed to be left vertically that long, so there's problems there also. Chris Bedesa, two keys for one car, one for the ignition, one for the trunk. And don't forget the Chryslers were teeth up. So many people didn't know that. Aldo Schmedic, what are your thoughts on having a dash cam? I still don't have one. But I do have some cameras. I put them on my bikes from time to time. I went metal detecting today, and I actually put a camera on the arm of my metal detector, and I got some really cool footage. So I'm gonna put a video on my second channel of me metal detecting, just so you can see what it's all about. Just to see it. Oh, paint. Yeah, the shipping method for Vegas is called Vertipack. Vertipack. Standard deviation. Does your Viper have a valet key? I don't think so. I mean, no. I would have one, right? A better question is, do you ever let anyone else drive your Viper? And the answer is no, I don't, including not valets. I watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I know what they do. Josh Homan Vegas were actually designed to be shipped vertically. Yes, they were. It was an experiment that didn't quite work. Stormtrooper 88, link to the other channel. I believe it's called Steve Leto's second channel. And hang on. Oh, not there. I got to do all kinds of stuff to figure this out. It's called Steve Leto's second channel. And, you know, and there's the thumbnail is me smiling with a black shirt with a shirt that says Leto Slaw on it. Flashing back to the previous joke. And it's actually just all one word, Steve Leto second channel. Spelled out second. Somebody complained about my most recent video. Says, Steve, you're ranting. I'm always ranting on that channel. Robert Lee says they also shipped Pontiac Astras that way. The Pontiac Astra. Well, Southern Torrance says if you want some fun, pull up to a valet service in a car with a stick and watch their faces. Yeah, the Viper is a stick, which the primary reason I don't let other people drive my Viper is that it's a clutch. And I don't care how good you are. There's a chance that you're not going to be good enough to be happy with the way you drive it. Oh. The Prodigal Stranger says it was called the Vault. Yes, it was called the Vault. I changed the name. I changed it to second channel. Mini Driver, do you like the AMC Javelin or other AMCs? I love the AMXs from back in the day. Pretty cool cars. And by the way, as DePaul points out, there is a link to the second channel if you visit the main channel. So click on my thumbnail and get to my main channel, like where there's a picture, where there's an intro video and all that stuff, and read the about information. And it goes, I have another channel right here. So, Arts 4014, if I do a Leto slaw recipe, it would not be for April Fool's, though. It'd be a very serious video. Aldo Schmedic, I miss the Viper. Well, they've talked about bringing one back. Mark Miller, so driving the Viper, does that mean lunch is drive-through only? I've parked it in a restaurant parking lot before. I just park it myself. Jillian Shaban does not know how to drive a stick. Wow. Johnny Z says I like going 90 in second gear in my Viper or 60 in first. MH08 Gen Z doesn't even get driver's licenses. I've met Gen Z who don't wear a watch. I can look at my phone to see what time it is. Sure, why not? Nailhead says the Pontiac ashtray. So you get a Pontiac Astra. Put one of those French accent symbols over the E and tell people, yes, it's an ashtray. User, have you ever had an AMC? Yeah, I drove a Gremlin for a couple of years when I was younger. Edge, do you take your Jeep off-road? I haven't really yet much. I mean, I've driven it. It's been off pavement, but not. I'm not going to say it was off-road. Kevin Smith, my uncle hated that his AMX had unibody, so he built a frame for it. Oh yeah, no, a lot of those vehicles back then were unibody. I once wrote an article about my 69 Dodge Charger and mentioned it as unibody, and I had some guy go, 1969 Dodge Charger had a frame. Just saying. Just saying. It's nothing worse than somebody making a incorrect statement and then going, just saying. Just saying. Oh boy. Primus, I love a good watch. Kids look at you like, what is that? It's called style. I actually saw an AMX parked by the side of the road a couple years ago. Red, white, and blue. Straight out of the 70s. Looked really, really cool. But where it was parked was nowhere near anybody's house. There's a phone number on it. I'm like, I kind of wish I'd followed up on it. I mean, it looked nice, but you never know, you know? Mark Miller, I'm curious, how can a digital clock run fast or slow? I've joked before about how I've got the big clock over there, and I can see that big clock when I'm shooting my main videos over here. I can see it from here. That clock is fast. It picks up like 30 seconds a month, which is horrible for a digital clock. You know why? It's from China, and it costs like $12, okay? That's why. Prodigal stranger, I hate daylight savings time as I have 14 wristwatches and 4 pocket watches. Do you have any automatic wind with an automatic winder? Because right now I've got 2 Breitlings, and one of them is in a case with an automatic winder, which every 4 minutes it rotates it for a while to keep it wound. So Dave O'Do, I've only seen one Viper in the wild. I usually see, not counting car shows or Cars and Coffee, I usually see 1 or 2 a year. 1 or 2 a year. But, you know, I go to the Troy Traffic Jam every year, which is a big car show in Troy, Michigan. And I'll usually see 5 or 6 Vipers there. And I'll go to the Dream Cruise, Woodward Dream Cruise in August, and I usually see 10 or 20 there. It's not uncommon you see 10 or 20 hanging out in one place. Likewise, I've also seen 20 or 30 Cobras in one day, replicas and so on at the Dream Cruise. Jason Brindamar, I'm actually looking forward to spring and digging at the riding mower to do anything in the yard. I'm actually about to buy a 0-turn for the first time. I've got a tractor, but I got some open spaces which I need to get faster, and so I'm going to get a wider 0-turn. Just zip, 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 zip. You know, why not? Arts 4014, you need a Nixie tube clock. I've seen those. I've never seen one in real life. I'm always worried that the things you see advertised on Facebook aren't that good. Yeah. Belio, any Casio watch will beat the heck out of any Rolex for accuracy. Yeah, any quartz watch will almost always beat out a analog watch. If I wanted to just tell time, I'd get a Timex. John Zablet, garter snakes look cool. I like it when people just decide that, you know, something, I've had this thought rolling around in my head for a little while. Just shake it loose and see what happens. I've got garter snakes on my property. I see them all the time. And there was a dead tree, which I think was a cherry tree, but a dead tree a couple of years ago. And I went out with my chainsaw and I took it down, not all the way to the ground, but I took it down to about a foot from the ground. And I forgot why I did that. I was going to come back later or something. And one day I'm walking by and there's a garter snake curled up on top of it, just sunning itself. So. Bob Kerflugan, I need to sharpen my blades on my manual mowers. And I last fall I got ahead of this, and I called the shop that does all the work on all my equipment, and I had him come get my riding mower, and I go, guys, get it ready for next year. So new blades, new belts, plugs, wires, oil, everything. And every single year I get brand new blades. And they always give me the old blades. It's comical. Kevin Smith not reading my comment. Ironically, that's your comment. I just read it. Aaron Bassett says Gran Turismo, the game, made the Viper light on the rear wheels. The car wanted to spin out easy. Believe it or not, the Viper is known, the earlier ones like mine, it does not have ABS. It does not have traction control. And it's a handful. And so if you type in Viper crashes, you will find video of Viper crashes on YouTube of people, and they're usually entering corners too fast. So I rarely see Saturns these days, but saw a Saturn wagon. I see Saturns from time to time. I'm in Michigan, so American cars, if they survive, are still out there. Bill McMahon, bye-bye. I'm off for some Mustang convertible therapy. There you go. Kevin Thomas, ever been to a rocket launch at Cape Canaveral? No, I have not. Foreman Colossus, somebody on YouTube was showing off his $12,000 riding lawnmower, kind of stunned at the price, but it does capture the clippings. Yeah, some of the zero turns, especially the industrial ones, can easily go to like 15, 20 grand. Bill asks, makes a comment, but the problem is he didn't say out loud. The great Quidjabo, ever watched Viper, the TV show? Yeah, me neither. No one did. That was the problem. But you got to give them credit for actually product placement where they actually named the show after the car. That does not happen a lot. My mother, the car, of course, accepted. Eldo Schmedic, how'd you outfit your Jeep? Well, I bought it used. I bought a 98 Jeep Wrangler for my friend JP in South Carolina. And so he found it for me, and he actually went through it and redid everything for me, including he replaced the seats, he replaced the top. I believe he went through the fuel lines and all that, did a complete tune-up on it, oil change, everything. But mine's just a typical 98 Wrangler, manual transmission, four-wheel drive, but it's got a brand new top and doors, so it looks nice. The sheet metal has got some sun damage to it. But that's no rust, just sun damage. Standard deviation says Vipers have a stupid amount of power. Yes, that is what makes them so cool. And as I like to remind people, my Cobra weighs 900 pounds less than my Viper with the same amount of horsepower. So if Vipers have stupid power, I don't know what to call the Cobra. DePaul's brakes are easier to replace than clutches. Yes. Kevin Smith, is there a good robot mower? I've seen ads for them. I'm wondering how good they really are, though. And I'm worried that you turn your back on it. Next thing you know, it's like trying to kill your cat or something, right? Chris Bedesa, fountain pens are cool. I've never owned a fountain pen, but I know they're a big thing. And they became like a cool thing that guys would have in their offices, just like more for show than anything else. Primus, Wranglers will last forever. I hope so. I keep thinking about buying an old, like flat fender Jeep, 40s or 50s. Haven't done that yet, though. Belio, your Jeep, and then someone stole the doors. Yeah, that was my old Jeep. That was a Jeep I had back in the 90s. Joe Phillips, if you're given the opportunity to be a judge where you could choose your cases, what type of cases would interest you? I'd love to be a judge for nothing but lemon law cases. And it's literally go, show me the repair orders. Okay, manufacturer, why didn't you buy this car back again? Yeah, Sig226, robot mower. You mean the kid next door? Dougie, have you ever driven a Bugatti? No, I had a chance to probably. I went down to Ed Bolian's place a couple months ago, shot some videos for him, and he had his Bugatti, and he had like 3 or 4 Lamborghinis, and we went out to lunch, and he asked me, which car would you like to go in? And of the Lamborghinis he had, I'd already been in one. I go, how about this one? And it didn't even occur to me. But I like the Lamborghinis a lot. Bugattis are cool. They're expensive, but I've never ridden in one. No. Darren McQuaid had a 1952 CJ3A, all original. Could do 55 with a 30-mile-an-hour tailwind. Thabo and Rayo, Steve Leto, the GOAT. See, in the old days, that'd be an insult, but not today. Oh, Prince Alberts. Yeah. Lemon law cases are where I'm most qualified, but I have a hard time being impartial. I would have a hard time being impartial. Although, what's really funny is I've actually been hired as an arbitrator before by somebody with a lemon law case. And I'm talking about both sides agreed to have me arbitrate the case. And it was because the attorney for the defendant, which is the manufacturer, actually said of all the attorneys out there that we could possibly agree on, Steve Leto is most likely to be neutral. So, Belio, so a 50-cent Bic Cristal pen isn't as impressive as a $1,000 Mont Blanc. Depends on who you're talking to. I'm more likely to use the Bic. Although I'll admit, I use these Uniball pens, and I buy these by the carton. I love these. They're blue. When I go to book signings, I sign books with them. If you've ever bought a book from me off the internet, I signed it with the blue ink. I probably signed it with this pen or its predecessor. And I love those pens. But when I was in high school and college and law school, blue Bic pens, I burned through those things like you wouldn't believe. Chuck Whitehead, do you have a NASCAR type seatbelt in the Viper? No, the Viper's got just a shoulder harness, but my Cobra has got a 4-point racing harness, and it's got a big old metal clasp that you got to clunk your way in and out of. And I've got to, when somebody gets in the car for the first time, I've got to walk them through how to get into that thing. Kelso Cortez, I love GTOs. Any opinions? Or are you talking about Pontiac or Ferrari? But I actually like the GTOs of the late 60s. I love those a lot. Thabo and Rayo, any stories of ever having to file a recusal motion? I've never filed one. I've never had a situation where it called for it. So. Yeah, by the way, and several people have weighed in on this. Nowadays, you can't find a kid who will mow your lawn. And when I was growing up, I mowed lawns, raked leaves, and shoveled snow. That's how I made spending money from like the age of 10 to like 17. I think I was still mowing lawns at 17. But that's that's what you would do. But nowadays, I think it's a lot harder. So, Stormtrooper says, I'm now subbed to Steve Leto's second channel. Any plans for Steve Leto's other channel? Not just yet. But I'm hoping, like I said, to shoot. I already shot it, but to edit the video of me metal detecting, just so you can see what's going on there. So I will talk to you guys later. It's past 3 o'clock. I gotta go check on my Wolverines, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.